What is up, people of the internet? My name is Avery and I've just finished my second year of electrical engineering at UBC. It was definitely a very brutal 8 months, but after 18 midterms, 9 final exams, and countless hours spent doing the labs and the homework, the fact that I'm making this video right now proves that you don't necessarily have to sell your soul in order to survive second year electrical engineering. Or at least that's what I tell myself. In this overly in-depth video, I'll be covering almost everything that you need to know before heading into second year electrical engineering at UBC, starting with an overview of what your year will look like, to all of the courses that you'll need to take, and the materials that you'll need to purchase, and lastly, some tips and advice to help you survive second year. And just as a disclaimer, everything mentioned in this video is based on my experience of second year electrical engineering during the 2023/2024 school year, and all the information in this video is subject to change in the future as well. Additionally, I am not in the biomedical engineering option of the electrical engineering program, but I will have a testimonial at the end of the video from someone who is. Lastly, timestamps will be in the description below if you want to reference certain parts of this video again in the future. Starting off with a big overview of second year electrical engineering, a typical course load consists of 5 courses in each semester, totaling up to 39 credits. In semester 1, you will take CPEN 211, Comp Sci 259, ELEC 201, Math 253, and Math 256. In semester 2, you will take ELEC 202, ELEC 211/Math 264, ELEC 221, ELEC 281, and ELEC 291. Alright, now let's get into the courses that you'll be taking in each semester of second year electrical engineering. I'll be giving brief course descriptions for each of these courses just for the sake of this video, but I will be making in-depth course guides for each of the courses in the future. As of filming this right now, I've already made videos on a few of these courses already, so make sure to check them out if you'd like to know more about them. Starting with semester 1, you'll be taking 5 courses: CPEN 211, Comp Sci 259, ELEC 201, Math 253, and Math 256. Starting with CPEN 211, oh boy, where do I begin? CPEN 211 is an introduction to digital computing systems, where you'll learn about how to build digital logic components and progress all the way to building a small microprocessor that can execute an assembly language program. Each week you will have 4 hours of lectures, a 2-hour lab session, and a 2-hour tutorial session. Speaking of your labs, there are 7 lab assignments due roughly every week or every 2 weeks depending on which lab it is. In terms of exams, you will have 1 midterm exam and a final exam for this course, and you do need to pass the final in order to pass the course. You will also have 3 lab proficiency tests, or LPTs, which are basically just coding exams. Re-emphasizing this again, these are just brief overviews of the courses, and I'll be going into much more detail in my full course guides coming soon. Next is Comp Sci 259, which is a course all about data structures and algorithms for electrical engineering students. But in other words, I like to think of Comp Sci 259 as a continuation of App Sci 160 from first year, as this course builds on your C programming knowledge. Each week you will have 3 hours of lectures and a 2-hour lab session with 5 lab assignments due every 2 to 3 weeks that are very similar in style to the App Sci 160 labs that you had to complete. You will also have 4 lab quizzes, which are small coding assessments that test your understanding of the course concepts. Just like in App Sci 160, your labs and lab quizzes will be submitted through Prairie Learn. In terms of exams, you will have 1 final exam that is worth around 30% of your final grade. But you will need to have a passing grade for the weighted average of your lab quizzes and your final exam in order to pass the course. Up next is ELEC 201, which is your first introduction to circuit analysis. I've already made a video on this course already, so go and check it out if you want to know all the details about it. But in summary, you'll have 4 hours of lectures and a 2-hour lab session each week, and a 2-hour tutorial session every 2 weeks. In terms of workload, you'll have weekly webwork assignments and bi-weekly lab assignments to complete. In terms of exams, you will have 2 midterm exams and 1 final exam, and these exams are done through webwork. Moving on to the math courses, we first have Math 253, which is all about multivariable calculus. I've also already made a video on this course already, so here's the SparkNotes overview of the course. Each week you will have 3 hours of Zoom lectures and a webwork assignment to complete. You also have a few webwork quizzes and these things called comparative judgment assignments to complete throughout the term. And in terms of exams, you will have 2 midterm exams done using CrowdMark and 1 in-person final exam. And the next math course that you're going to have to take is Math 256, which is all about ordinary differential equations. Video for this course is already up on the channel, so here's a quick speed run of the course. 3 hours of lectures per week, written homework assignments due roughly every 2 weeks, and you'll have 2 midterm exams and 1 final exam. And just a disclaimer that this was just for my section of Math 256, and this course structure might differ depending on which section of Math 256 that you choose. Moving on to semester 2, you'll be taking another 5 courses: ELEC 202, ELEC 211/Math 264, ELEC 221, ELEC 281, and ELEC 291. As I've said before, I'll be giving brief course descriptions for each of these courses just for the sake of this video, but I will be making in-depth course guides for each of these courses in the future. Starting with ELEC 202, this is your second introduction to circuit analysis, where you'll be doing all of your circuit analysis in AC steady state. You'll learn about concepts such as phasors and impedances, power in AC steady state, 3-phase systems, body plots, and filters. You will have 4 hours of lectures, a 2-hour tutorial session, and a webwork assignment to complete each week. And we have 3 midterm exams and 1 final exam for this course. Next is ELEC 211 and Math 264, which are taught together as one 3-credit course. This course is basically all about electromagnetism with some vector calculus sprinkled in there, basically extending on what was taught in Physics 158, but taught way better, but with way harder problems and a lot more math. Before the start of each week, you will have a short video to watch as a preview of the content that will be covered that week, and a pre-week quiz to complete on webwork as well. During the week, you will have 3 hours of lectures to attend and a webwork assignment to complete by the end of the week. And in terms of exams, you will have 2 midterm exams and 1 final exam for this course. Up next is ELEC 221, which is a course all about signals and systems. You'll learn about different ways to classify signals and systems, how to use Fourier series and Fourier transforms on signals, how signal sampling works, and state space representation. Each week you will have 3 hours of lectures and a 2-hour tutorial session and a webwork assignment to complete. Occasionally during these lectures or tutorials, there may be an in-class participation activity that will be run by the TAs. And in terms of exams, you will have 2 midterm exams and 1 final exam for this course. Next, we have ELEC 281, which is your technical communications course, which in my year had a focus on electrical engineering solutions to climate change. In this course, you'll be exposed to communication through memo reports, business letters, research summaries, proposals, technical descriptions, and formal reports. For most of the work in this course, you'll be working in groups of 4 and will be assessed on assignments such as oral presentations, technical descriptions, and different types of memo reports. There are 3 hours of lectures each week, and you will have 1 midterm and 1 final exam for this course. And lastly, we have ELEC 291, which is your second-year design studio course. Through a mixture of labs and projects, you'll be using all the core knowledge that you've accumulated thus far to gain some hands-on experience actually building something. You'll have 3 individual labs, 3 partner labs, and 2 group projects to complete for this course. Some of the labs that we did included building an alarm clock, a temperature sensor, and a capacitance meter. And the projects that we did included a reflow oven controller and a remote-controlled metal detector robot. The labs are due each week, while your projects are usually given with 2 to 3 weeks of working time. One note about ELEC 291, if you do only everything that is required for a lab or a project, you're capped at 75%. The only way to get above 75% is to add bonus features or extra functionality to your designs. And those are pretty much all of the courses that you're going to take in your second year of electrical engineering. If you've just watched all of that and you're thinking, I am so screwed for this year, great news, because you can actually add more courses to your course load, just like I did. Because my first semester seemed a little light to me, I chose to take Philosophy 211 as my second humanities elective during that semester just to knock it out of the way. I will say I was definitely in the minority when it came to people who actually took additional courses in second year, so it's completely up to you. If you don't want to take your humanities elective, you could choose to take your Impact of Technology on Society elective. I've heard that Civil 250 is quite an easy course, so you could add that to your second year course load if you'd like to. In fact, I'm actually taking Civil 250 this summer so that I can knock this elective out of the way as well. But ultimately, the choice is up to you for whether you want to suffer more now or later. Again, I'll leave a link in the description below to a checklist of all the core courses and electives that you'll have to take in your electrical engineering degree. In terms of stuff you're actually going to have to buy for second year electrical engineering, there are a couple of items that you'll need to purchase at the beginning of the year and for certain courses. The details of exactly how and when to order these things will be explained to you by your course instructional team. And just a heads up that you might want to start saving some money now because some of these things are not cheap. The first thing you'll need to purchase is the second year ELEC tools and parts kit from the ECE store for $190. These kits include all the necessary tools and parts that you'll need to build your circuits in ELEC 201, CPEN 211, and ELEC 291. However, these kits do not come with batteries, which may be required for some of your labs. I'd recommend having at least 2 9-volt batteries and at least 4 AA batteries, especially before you start Project 2 of ELEC 291. The second thing that you'll need to purchase is this DE1 SoC for CPEN 211. This device is required in order to do your labs for CPEN 211, and it costs $258 US, which is around 350 Canadian dollars. However, many ELEC students have no use for the DE1 SoC after taking CPEN 211, so you might be able to find a lightly used one for a lot less if you ask some alumni student. For ELEC 291 specifically, there are 3 kits you'll need to purchase individually for your labs and as a group for your projects. The first kit, which costs $32 and will be purchased at the beginning of the course, includes the microcontroller chip that you'll need to use for your individual labs. The second kit includes all the parts that you'll need to complete your first group project, and its $120 cost will be split evenly among your group members. The third kit will be purchased right before the second group project starts and includes all the parts that you'll need to complete it. This third kit costs $80, and just like the last kit, the cost will be split evenly among your group members. So if we add all of that just for ELEC 291, assuming you'll be in a group of 6 people for each project, you'll need to spend about $65.33 for each of these kits in ELEC 291. Alright, and if we add all of that up, if my math is correct, you'll be spending an additional $608.33 just for stuff that you'll use for a few months and may never touch again. Luckily, as far as I'm aware, there aren't any required textbooks or software that you'll need to purchase on top of all of this, which is a relief. Alright, now on to some survival tips, advice, and things to know before heading into second year electrical engineering at UBC. I'm going to only try to mention things that are specific to the ELEC program, as many common tips and advice apply as well. Things like getting your work done early, managing your time well, and many other cliche study tips are pretty much expected when you're in electrical engineering. First things first, no matter if you love it or hate it, you're gonna have to get used to working with other people in second year ELEC. Many of the courses that you'll be taking will require you to work with a partner or a group, and it's important that you learn to work well with them if you're going to effectively get work done. I know that some of you guys had bad experience with group work in first year, but you're gonna have to put that in the past and focus on what you're going to do to make working with other people a better experience for all of you. Speaking of other people, second year ELEC is also when making really good friends and forming good study groups is essential to survive. It's really not hard to talk to new people in ELEC, especially when you're all suffering through the same thing. So Try to connect with as many people as you can because you never know who will be able to help you out when you're stuck on a question on your next web work assignment. Another thing that you're going to have to get good at is making cheat sheets for your exams, which may be a lot different from what you were used to in first year. Some of the courses that you'll be taking this year will actually allow you to bring cheat sheets to your exams. Some will be handwritten only and others can be printed. There's no formula for creating a good cheat sheet, as different people like their cheat sheets to be structured in different ways, but I'm just putting it out there that you'll be making a lot of cheat sheets in second year. One tip that I have for you when doing course registration is try to choose a timetable with your lab sessions in semester 1 that are as late into the week as possible, specifically for Comp Sci 259 and CPen 211. Why those courses specifically? Well, I'll give you a little bit of insight. For Comp Sci 259, your lab quizzes are done during your lab sessions. So having a lab session later in the week on Thursday or Friday will A, give you more time to study for your lab quiz, and B, give you a chance to hear what it was like from other people who took it before you, which definitely helps a lot. And for CPen 211, because you work on the lab assignments as homework and you get your labs marked during your lab session, having a later lab session just means you get more time in the week to work on your labs. And every extra hour counts when working on a CPen 211 lab. In terms of the courses with professors that you can actually choose between, the only courses that allow for this are Math 256 and ELEC 2ND-YEAR. For the sake of not naming anyone specific so that it doesn't come back to haunt me in the future, choose these profs for Math 256 and ELEC 281, and do your best to avoid these ones for your sanity's sake. Otherwise, all your other courses will only have one professor that you're stuck with for the whole semester. In terms of recommended tech for second year ELEC, you can technically get away with using a MacBook, but you'll have to do a lot of workarounds just to get certain things to work. If you want a safe bet though, just get a Windows laptop. For note-taking, if you can afford it, I would recommend getting an iPad or a device that you can write digital notes on, just for the sole reason that I would absolutely hate not having a copy-paste function for my circuit analysis courses. And lastly, in terms of workload compared to first year, I definitely found second year electrical engineering a lot more difficult than first year, but that's just me. Everyone is different, so I want to give an objective overview of what your second year is going to look like so that you can come to that conclusion yourself. So that's pretty much it for all the insight that I can personally give about second year electrical engineering at UBC. But there are a few perspectives that I didn't get to experience this year, those being what being in the co-op program is like, because I didn't get in, what the biomedical engineering option of ELEC is like, and lastly, what it's like to be a female in the electrical engineering program. Luckily, I was able to call up a few of my friends who were able to enlighten me a bit on all three of these experiences.
Hi, my name is Cynthia, and I just finished my second year of electrical engineering at UBC.
Hello y'all, my name is Hannah. I am in my second year, well, I'm going second year, going into third year, electrical engineering with the biomed specialization.
Hi guys, I'm Athina. I'm going into my third year of electrical engineering in the biomedical option.
My first choice in like a career path was actually not engineering. I wanted to go to medical school and become an orthodontist, and then I realized in high school that maybe like 8+ years of schooling was not for me. And my dad is an electrical engineer, so I guess he kind of influenced me, because I know I want to do something in engineering, like as a second choice from medical school, but I guess none of them seemed to intrigue me as much as electrical did.
So basically, in high school, I never planned on going to university. I wanted to go to trade school, but then like my parents encouraged me to go to university, and my friends told me I'd be wasting my potential if I did not. So I was like, you know what, let's do it. I want to go into sciences and study behavioral neuroscience. And then I was like, you know, UBC science is pretty hard to get in, and I feel like UBC engineering has even more requirements. So if I can make it into Eng, I could probably make it into science or transfer out of Eng into science. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do UBC engineering because I'm probably not gonna get in. And then I might be able to get into sciences. I'm someone who, like, I'm creative, and I also really like drawing connections between different subjects, and I feel like engineering really was that place where all aspects of STEM intersected. And so that's one of the things that captivated me to engineering. It was the applicational basis where everything's really practical, you're coming up with practical solutions to real world problems. That's often what people say. But also that it's so multidisciplinary, and it draws on mathematical knowledge and scientific knowledge and all these different things, and takes all these theories and makes them actually useful for our society.
Honestly, tough question because I still don't know, and I'm still trying to figure that out. The long story short is that I couldn't decide what I wanted to do, and I figured that engineering was probably the most technical out of all of them. So if I did engineering, then regardless of where I ended up, it would still be useful.
I feel like in electrical, there is probably like around 20% female and 80% male.
Okay, so I actually counted, I think within the first week of class, how many girls were in the class, and I'd say my estimate's around 25 females, maybe 30 females. But I would put our program at around 120 or 150 people in total in electrical. So the ratio would be maybe 1 to 5, which honestly I think is pretty reflective of the percentage distribution.
It's really funny because a lot of people actually ask me this question, specifically people outside of engineering. And every time they ask that, I'm not entirely sure, but from the count that I think Hannah and I did actually at the start of the year, I think there were about 15 or 20 girls in ELEC in our classes or something. We were just doing a random estimate one day. And so I'd say about 15% maybe.
They're not weird per se, I guess more awkward, but not all of them. I think some are chill and normal human beings, but I cannot say that for everyone. So.
Honestly, it's a case by case basis. There are some guys in ELEC that definitely are just awkward in general. But then there's also some guys that are really social and really normal human beings, like the YouTuber you're watching right now. So yeah, I'd say the stereotype is not as much existent, even though it's engineering, come on, there's going to be awkward guys.
I mean, everybody seems pretty fine. I mean, yeah, some people have their quirks, but it's basically there's nothing that's stood out as weird, at least.
I would say you should empower yourself to do engineering, but honestly, with my experience being in electrical engineering, I don't really see myself as, oh, I'm one of the few females in electrical. I talk to other people as I normally do, and honestly, it's just not a big thing that comes into play where I don't think about it at all. Whether you're male, female, or whatever, you should always just try your best in your degree.
When acceptances were rolling out and going into second year, people were talking about, oh, this person got in because they're female and they're trying to increase the female-male ratio. And honestly, for me, that kind of bothers me because I try my best and I want to be accepted into a program for my skill and for the good work I put in first year. And so if you're feeling kind of imposter, then I would say know who you are. Know that if you're here in this program, if you got into electrical engineering, you're there, you're worth it. And even in days where I guess you feel oh, I do not compare to my male counterparts, know that there's so many more guys in your program usually. And so if you hear about, wow, there's so many of these guys who are high achieving, guess what? There's also the lower end of the normal distribution curve. So yes, numbers will seem out of proportion. Yes, it might seem oh, I'm not doing as well as my male counterparts, but also if you only know the top 10% of your grade, then maybe that's why. Believe in yourself. You can do it. One thing my high school teacher used to tell me is trust your studying, trust your process. And so, yes, it's easy to second guess yourself when you're in engineering, especially if you're a female in engineering, but don't let that female label stop you. Be a good engineer, or be a good engineering student. It doesn't matter what your gender is. Just do your best, show other people that you can do your best, and sooner or later, they're gonna recognize you.
So for incoming engineering students in general, I mean, I'm kind of biased here, but like, join Women in Engineering, we're a fantastic club. Shameless plug. If you're going into ELEC, I'd say main thing is find the other girlies and stick together, because you'll never regret the support that you can get from this group, and they'll become your best friend for life, which is really cliche. Really, really cliche, but it's true.
I would say I've always had some kind of interest in BMEG because I've personally benefited from the innovative work of biomedical engineers. And so that's a topic that's always been on my mind, like medicine or like biomedical engineering. And after first year, I was like, okay, I really enjoy like electromagnetism and electronic theory. And one of the things that I was interested in working on in the future was medical imaging devices. And so I was like, wait, like electrical kind of like touches on that. And electrical engineering definitely goes more in depth on the technicality behind these medical instruments and things. So that's why I chose ELEC plus biomed rather than just a biomed program. My interest really lies with electrical, which is why I chose ELEC plus biomed. And I feel like being in the biomed specialization and electrical, it kind of like guides part of, I guess, the work that I do. It's like, oh, the stuff I'm learning right now in school actually has this meaningful application over here. And it's not so much that you have to search for it as like they give you a better direction for that.
So I was actually in the BMEG stream for first year, but I didn't like a lot of the wet labs that we had to do and a lot of the more cellular processes. Like, I thought that I wanted to do BMEG because of stem cells. I quickly realized that that was not the case, and I was like, okay, I need to somehow just like still maintain that interest in like healthcare, but like get out of BMEG. And ELEC and MEC were kind of the two options. Honestly, I was totally gonna do MEC, but then I switched over to ELEC because I figured that I think I liked doing some like electronic circuits and like just hobbyist stuff. So yeah, I don't know.
So I would definitely say there's only like 2 courses where it differs, and one of them it only like kind of differs. So the 2 different courses is you would take an additional 1 credit course called ELEC 271, Selected Topics in Biomedical Engineering. And then there's also, instead of taking ELEC 291, which is the project course, you take ELEC 292, which is the biomedical ELEC equivalent.
It's called the Biomedical Engineering Design Studio, but really it's more so the Electrical Engineering Design Studio. It's the exact same thing, except for like 1 lab.
Within 292, the only labs that are different is Lab 4 and Lab 6. So usually, at least in our year, in Lab 4 and 6, the 291 group does a 555 timer. For the ELEC Biomed group, we do a heart rate monitor.
Personally, I thought the heart rate monitor was more useful and would make a more cool project.
And so there are some like differences in terms of the hardware setup and everything, but other than that, like the main projects are still the same. With ELEC 271, love the course. Basically, it's a seminar course.
And it's a 1 credit course, super chill. I absolutely adore our professor. He's a sweetheart. And yeah, I think everybody just loves him.
The professor will bring in different speakers that will come in and speak about different like technologies and different fields in the medical industry to kind of like motivate you or spark your interest in certain things. So that's cool. There's also an ethics course portion of it. So if you've ever done something like the TCPS 2022. Yeah, it's just about review ethic boards. It's about different like regulations surrounding biomed and medicine and biomed research, because your like device or whatever you're making is most likely interfacing with another human being. So the ethics part is really important. And then there's also a presentation that you have to do. And since the course is a seminar course, at the end of the course, we present our own like seminars to our peers about an advancement in technology that recently occurred that helps the biomedical industry. So like for me, I talked about using computational psychiatry to assist in psychiatric diagnoses, and specifically focusing on the like AI portion of it because of the development of AI.
I was talking to our prof from the seminar course, and he kind of, I think he like half runs the program. I don't know. He's probably a pretty big part of it. But what he said is that people in the BMEG option, like their averages tend to be like at least like 10% higher than people not in the BMEG option. So I don't know what's actually like the correlation here, like whether it's because people are, okay, studies also showed that apparently they were happier.
I remember you told me this.
Yeah, did I tell you this? I feel like I might have. But yeah, so people in the BMEG option tend to be A, happier, and B, have better grades. So if that's not like enough motivation to switch over, I don't know what is.
Yeah, basically once you get into the co-op program, you get into this Canvas course, and there's like a bunch of introductory material that you have to read through.
You would be working on your resume, your cover letter. You'll like have things to hand in.
I think we had to submit our resume at some point and then do some edits. They have this good software called BMEG that UBC pays for, and then it basically tells you how good your resume is and where you can improve, and scores your resume out of 100.
A lot of what you do to apply for the co-op program, you also kind of review that in the like initial Canvas course, if I remember correctly. It's been so long.
And they give you like packages that kind of prepare you on your like job search. So like how to like write a good resume, and then there's like a lot of activities that you do over Zoom, like workshops. But honestly, I don't think a lot of people put effort into those, because we would be put into like these breakout rooms to discuss like example cover letters that we've written, and no one would say anything. But yeah, I don't know. That's basically what we had to do, just a bunch of tasks on Canvas, which were not useful in the end, in my opinion.
I think that there are some resources about like how to write a cover letter and whatnot, and what the co-op format is for the UBC resume and whatnot. But overall, yeah, there were a lot of resources. I can't say that I used a lot of them.
You have to book appointments with your co-op advisor. And they also offer workshops where they can review your cover letter and your resume. And then once I'd say like semester 2 rolls around, that's kind of when you start looking for co-op jobs. Also note that like before you start looking for jobs, your advisor is going to ask you what kind of scheduling format that you want. There's basically different options, different combinations that you can take, like 4-month co-op, followed by an 8-month co-op, followed by a 4-month co-op, something like that. And then the rest is just job hunting.
Well, I am currently unemployed. And I know someone who isn't even in the co-op program, but he ended up getting like a 12-month co-op actually.
No. Yeah, I'll be like straight up and honest, no, it has not. But I also didn't really like take advantage of the co-op portal that is available for students in the co-op program.
I have mixed feelings about the co-op program. I feel like it can be helpful if we know how to use it. Personally, as a second-year student, and I think a lot of other second years would say the same, it's hard to find out what jobs are looking for students specifically, and what you should be looking, like what kind of companies you should be looking at for your level. And I think a really helpful part about the application portal is that it breaks down each of the jobs, like the requirements to, I guess, submit your personal details, resume, whatever. It gives you the full breakdown. It also tells you how many people from UBC you're going up against, which gives a pretty good benchmark.
Okay, I feel like the co-op program is probably like a money grab or something, because you can be completely fine on your own. Like if you know how to write like good resumes and cover letters, which you can like find a lot of resources online, or you can like talk with friends who have experience in writing those.
There were definitely some links I clicked on, or like some websites I followed through and like tried to look for that job. Like those jobs did not exist anymore or were taken. And so that aspect, no, it wasn't too helpful. And like, I think not every job can be applied through the co-op portal. Like you kind of have to go to the company's own website and like comb through that and apply there. That was my experience at least.
I honestly would say that like the biggest part of the co-op program is that they didn't try to encourage you to start very early to start the job search. Like it was mostly like toward the end of December. And into January, so it's like already a new year. But at that point, like a huge wave of job applications and roles have already been closed by many companies. So there's that.
Like for me, I got a job from a workplace that I was at last year, and so they just reached out to me to rehire. So I didn't really need to take advantage of the co-op portal either. I will say for some of my other friends, they found a lot of interview opportunities through the co-op portal. So definitely keep applying, even up to April, because there are still companies rolling out like applications at that time.
On the other hand, because it's so limited and because not all of the jobs that they post on the portal are actually like directly sent to UBC, like it might just be like a link to another employer's website or something, you end up facing a lot more competition than you'd expect, and it wouldn't be much different from applying directly on their website. So that's something that was a little bit of a drawback for me. Like I thought that it would be a lot more involved, that like a lot of co-op employers would be directly hiring just from UBC, but that wasn't really the case.
I would say you don't have to rely on the co-op program, and honestly, I think a lot of the admission into the co-op program was purely luck or random. Like I know some very qualified people that got rejected from the program, and some not as qualified people get into the program, and that guy's also jobless. So yeah, don't rely on the program to get a job.
I would definitely say like work on your resume, and what that means is not so much like go and take up like 5 different part-time jobs to decorate your resume, but like make yourself stand out in your resume. And one thing that an upper year told me when he was looking over my resume was, oh, you should put some numbers and metrics onto it. So really he called it numberify your resume. And that kind of gives a quantitative, like it will stand out to your recruiters, whatever. They'll be looking at it and they're like, oh, this is what you did. This is the actual impact you had. Even if it's like, oh, I led a team of like 10 students to do this thing. Mention the 10, mention the number.
For finding a job, I would say start as early as possible. Make sure your resume is good. Do personal projects. A lot of people say that you should kind of tailor some personal projects toward the roles that you want to get. I personally have not done that, but I find that some people I know that have done that, they've been more successful in their job hunt.
Choice of language, I'd say, is really important. So don't use passive language. Don't be like, I think I would make a great candidate. Just say I would make a great candidate, or I make a great candidate because. And then, as I was saying earlier, like definitely get upper years to review it for you, have them take a look. For me, that was really helpful. They gave really good feedback, especially upper years who have gotten a co-op job already. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of RNG sometimes. Yeah, it's just the co-op like program has limited spaces, I think, and EC is such a huge department. But I'd definitely say if you can't get in at second year, don't freak out, because a lot of people don't even get co-op jobs in the summer of second year, and it's really hard to get summer co-op jobs too. So apply for third year. You probably have a better chance of getting into the program and also getting a job.
I have no idea how I got into co-op, I'll be honest. From what I've heard, it's kind of just a little bit of a lottery, not gonna lie. No, but seriously, like there's a lot of qualified people I know that got into co-op, and a lot of less than qualified people that I know that also got into co-op. What probably got me in was extracurriculars, so I'd say like if you're an incoming first year, like have some good projects on your resume, or like have some extracurricular involvements that can demonstrate like your interest in engineering, or like just in contributing to society as a whole.
And that's pretty much everything that you need to know before heading into second year electrical engineering at UBC. I really hope this video helps you guys out so you guys don't have to suffer as much as I did in second year. And if you're not going into the electrical engineering program but still want to know what second year is going to look like for the program that you are going into, make sure to get subscribed, as I have a few surprises for you guys lined up for this summer. As always, gently tap the like button, hit that subscribe button, and ring that notification bell to be notified whenever I release a new video. With that being said, I hope this video brought you value, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get her in the future.
Just try to center it above the
No. I have a question first.
Yes.
Wait, are you recording right now?
Yes, I am
Okay,
recording.
wonderful. There's more footage. What do you think would happen if I attached like servo motors onto the wheels of the chair?
Just slowly moving you to the left and right.
Yeah, but you don't get like, you know, the whole 360 rotation. Am I allowed to move the chair?
Fine, go ahead.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead, as long as you're within frame.
I will make sure I'm within frame.
Okay. What would you recommend them to do?
Oh.
Oh, goodness. Oh, let me try that again.
Mention the 10, mention the number. Keep your I heard that. Your computer sound will be featured in this video.
Cool.
All right.
Sounds good. How much of that are you gonna cut?
Huh? All the parts where I'm talking. All right. Thank you, Hannah.
Yay!
Oh God. You almost
Thank you, Avery, so much for featuring me on your YouTube channel. I'm so honored. Oh my goodness.